Hello everyone, my name is Christina. I sell full-time on eBay and I also sell on Poshmark. So today I brought to you a what sold video. This is everything that I sold the third week in January. My net sales was around about $1,100. So the first item I sold was a Table Topics Ruby Mind. It's like a cube game. I paid 99 cents and sold it for $17.88. The next item I sold was Clark's ankle boots for $22.88. And I have about $1.99 into them. I'm starting to get out of clothing and shoes and to focus more on hard goods. I still have a bunch in my store, but I am going to start phasing out of them. I mean, unless I find something that's really good. The next item is a new Betsy Johnson baby gift. I purchased this when Gordman's was going out of business back in July. I only paid about $2.50 for it, and it sold for $24.88. The next item is a Justice Pets Pixel the Black Cat. I picked this up at a yard sale for $1, and it sold for $17.88. But I also found that a lot of Justice items, especially the accessories like the cat house, the dog house, some of the other plushes, they actually go for pretty good. It's like a tween store for girls. The next item is a Lisa Frank 8-pack pencils. I wasn't sure if these were vintage at first when I purchased them, but then after researching, they actually were. So it was an 8-pack. I paid 99 cents for them, and they sold for $28.88. The next item was like a retro cake carrier. It did have some rust on it, and I did notate that in the listing. I paid $1.99 for it, and it sold for $17.88. The next item is a vintage wherever aluminum cone sleeve or sieve. This is the first time I ever seen one of these and purchased one. I paid $1.99 for it, and it sold for $22.88. The next item is a Funko Pop. So if you watched my very first video, you've seen that I told you that I purchased a bunch of Funko Pops at Goodwill recently for $2.99. I think I got like 30 or 40 of them. This Funko Pop was Twilight, Bella in the wedding dress. Again, I paid $2.99 for it, and it sold for $49.88. The next one was the Powerpuff Girls Buttercup, $2.99. It sold for $22.88. The next item I sold was a vintage Play School Disney Funwitch machine. I believe I paid 99 cents for it, and it sold for $39.88. I believe I had that one for probably 6 months or so. Another Funko Pop was a Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks, $2.99, and it sold for $39.88. The South Park Cartman Pig, $2.99, it sold for $14.88. Another Funko Pop was Twilight. There was actually a lot of Twilight series in that pickup that I got. This was Edward with the tuxedo. He sold for $29.88. I paid $2.99. The next is a retail arbitrage, something I picked up at Walmart not too long ago. It was a Lego Thunder Raider. I paid, I think it was $12, and it sold for $69.88. Now, Walmart, usually the day after Christmas, and then probably the second week in January, they heavily discount their toy section. I do a lot of retail arbitrage then. And then also in July, they do a lot of markdowns as far as their toys go. Another Funko Pop was a Family Guy. Stewie sold for $32.88. I paid $2.99 for it. Another item was a Josie Moran. It was some nail wipes. I paid 79 cents for it, and it sold for $12.88. I generally am starting to stay away from picking up small items like that. I made like $10 in profit, but I don't know. I'm torn over whether I want to continue to pick those small items up. The next is a Tennessee Titans blown glass ornament. I paid 39 cents, I think, for it, and it sold for $9.88. The next was another retail arbitrage from Walmart. I paid $7 for it. It was a Lego City People Fun Pack. I actually sold I picked up 2 of them, and I actually sold both of them relatively quick for $29.88. And then another lot of Monster High. If you watched yesterday's video, I talked about all those Monster High dolls I picked up for like $1. Well, this was a lot of 6. It sold for $33, so I have about $6 into them. And then another lot of 9 sold for $57. And then finally, a lot of 10 sold for $61. Another item was a Peppy Putz. It's like a mutt, and it had like hard, round plastic feet, and then you would just pull it with its leash, and it would bounce and walk. I paid 69 cents for it, and it sold for $21.88. Another item was a Scooby-Doo ice pack. I paid $1.99 for this at Goodwill, and it sold for $24.88. Now this one I actually had for probably 9 months. I mean, it was small, so I didn't really mind storing it. Another item I sold was an aloe. I've never heard of this brand before, so I actually had to look it up. It was a yoga hat. I paid $1.99 for it, and it sold for $31.88. So this is a brand you might want to look for, because it sold, I'd probably say within a couple days of me listing it, it sold. And I purchased that at Goodwill as well. Most of the items that I'm going to be telling you about, I pretty much purchased at Goodwill, unless it was a couple retail arbitrages from Walmart. This is from Walmart. It's a Sims 4 for the Xbox One. I paid $5 for it, and it sold for $22.88. And that actually sold overnight after I listed it. Another item I got was a vintage Wilson sewing box. It was like a mustard yellow color. I believe I paid $1.99 for it, and it sold for $27.88. I typically don't pick up sewing boxes unless they're like the vintage plastic ones, because those seem to have a nice little following. Another is more Monster High dolls. These are the boys. I sold 4 of them for $39.88, and again, I only have $1 into each of them. Another one is it's a Pioneer Woman. It's like a cookie boot storage thing. I picked it up at Walmart for 75 cents, I think it was, because it was 75% clearance or 90% clearance. And it sold for $12.88. And then this item I got at Goodwill for 99 cents. It's a DreamWorks She-Ra. It's like a costume for a little girl. It sold for $24.88. Next is a Care Bear. I've been selling Care Bears on and off. If I find them at Goodwill in the plush section, I'll pick them up as long as they're in decent condition. Now, if you do find a plush and it has a little bit of dirt or stain in it, if you did not know, if you actually get Windex and spray it directly onto the plush and then rub it with like a cloth and then wait till it dries, and then you can just like fluff it up a little bit, it'll actually take the stain out, as long as it's not like a deep stain. This Care Bear, I paid 69 cents and it sold for $18.88. This next item, it took me a long time to figure out what it was, because it actually looked like it was homemade. It was an hourglass made by J.B. Swales. And this one actually took probably a month or so to sell. I have $1.99 into it, and it sold for $29. Another item that I pick up whenever I find them, as long as they're like $1 or under, are the Little Tykes plastic chairs. They have pink, blue, they have a bunch of different colors. This is a yellow one. I paid $1 for it, and it sold for $12.80 because I had a promotion on my store at the time. The next item is Athleta pants. I'll pick up clothing, like I said, as long as it's a brand that I know I'm going to sell. And Athleta activewear seems to sell quite well for me. I paid $4.49 and it sold for $29.88, and I purchased that at Goodwill. Another item I'll always pick up is Calphalon lids. They have the steam and stir one, the steam ones. They're like a thicker lid, and it has like venting in it. This particular one doesn't. It's just a regular glass lid. I paid 79 cents for it, and it sold for $8.88. And those are pretty much all the items that I sold, like I said, for the 3rd week in January. Now, there's some items that I didn't include, all of them, because during the Gorman's buy, I also bought Levi's. I also bought Estee Lauder and Clinique. I'm not going to go over all of those. But that is all I have for you today. So if this is something that you enjoy watching, please subscribe and see you later. All right, so right here is another trip to a local Goodwill that I go to. This is a larger one than the normal one in my town. Where I'm heading right now is the electronics department, and on my way there, I always see if they have any good shoes. Now, those are a pair of Danskos, but if you look at the one top of them, it was ripped, so they weren't even worth getting because it was peeling there. I didn't look at that Wii Fit board. I've sold a couple on eBay, but I generally don't pick them up. In here, I usually look for any power adapters or remotes. The power adapters would either be for a Nintendo, PlayStation, or an Xbox. Those look like they were Wii Fit bands. There's really no resale, in my opinion, on those. And I typically don't pick up any of the GPSs. I used to, but they don't generate enough money. Now, sometimes in this particular aisle, if it's cheap enough, bread makers, I will pick them up if they're like $4.99 or less, because you can actually use the paddle and the pan inside, and then sell those separately. I've done that in the past. There really wasn't much more in here. I always look in the back because people like to hide things in the back. Generally, in those bins, there would be like calculators or whatnot. I usually look for the Texas Instrument graphing calculators. And sometimes I'll find boom boxes at this particular location. I was looking at those TVs, but there just wasn't no resale value on them. Now I did pick up that boom box, and I just listed it the other day. Sometimes those little 5-inch portable TVs can go for some good money, but that particular brand was not one of them, and neither was this pink one. I've sold those phones before with the headset. I put that in my cart, but I ended up putting it back because there wasn't a good enough resale on it. If you looked at the sold comps on eBay, I always look for the flip clocks as far as the alarm clocks go. Panasonic makes them where the numbers flip. Their DVDs, I generally just pass on them um, unless they're like box sets. Certain box sets might do all right, but cassettes, I'll look for any like Pink Floyd or Grateful Dead. That genre seems to sell pretty well. But I can pick those up at a yard sale for like a quarter. At Goodwill, I think they're 69 cents. And then this is where they have all the video games. I usually will pick up any of the Wii Dance ones. Just Dance, those seem to do okay. I did scan most of them, and there was none for me to pick up to make any good money off of. especially the PlayStation 2, the greatest hits. Usually you want to look at the black label ones and scan some of those that aren't sports related. I didn't end up picking up any of those. Now in the wicker part, I'll look for anything that's Napa Valley. Napa Valley has a pretty good following as far as it holds. It looks like that right there, but it says Napa Valley on it, and it holds CDs, cassettes, VHS. I've find them not too often, but when I do, I'm generally able to sell them relatively quickly. Um, Once in a while, the VHSs aren't bad. I just listed some Powerpuff Girls, 4 of them that I found. Generally, I look for any of them that are the older horror ones. I did look up that uh, drum set, but it ended up being busted in the back and it was missing a couple pieces. In this particular spot, I usually look for anything that's like Scentsy candle wax warmers or Bed Bath and Beyond candles. Those seem to sell pretty well. Other than that, I'm not that familiar with those knickknacks. The glasses, I generally look for Starbucks, any of the Starbucks that are particular cities, or like those seem to sell pretty well. Other than that, I don't do a whole lot with those. The knives, I usually will look for any Cutco knives, and the Cutco factory is actually only an hour, about an hour and 45 minutes from where I live. I've They have a really good warranty. I ended up not finding anything in there. I did end up getting that Echo knife that was in the packaging there. I do have that listed in my store. And sometimes Chicago cutlery will sell okay. Um, and a lot of the knives here, unless they're marked individually, I believe they're run between 79 and 99 cents. I usually will pick up any gloves that I find. They generally run $2.99 and up. If they're around $2.99, I'll pick them up, and I prefer them to be an adult. Now, this was something I meant to go back and look at because it had the furniture and stuff in it, but I think it was from the 90s. But I ended up forgetting and didn't buy it. I did scan all of those new toys and they weren't worth much. And that record player up there, I'm not sending something out that big. I did scan that VTech and there was no money to be made on that as well. In this particular section, I will look for like that tissue holder. I didn't get that one, but sometimes you can find ornate ones that are worth some money if they're vintage. And in this section where they have all the dishes and everything, I always look for Pampered Chef stoneware. If I find any, I generally will pick it up. It usually runs around $3.99 and below, unless some stores will mark it up to like $8. But even then, you can get a nice pizza stone for $8 and sell it for 60. Um, yeah, you can't miss them. It's right underneath those white bowls, right coming up here on the bottom shelf. Um, I'll look at Pyrex too, but a lot of stores now mark that their Pyrex up that there's no meat on the bone to make any kind of money. That was an LL Bean thermos, but it wasn't worth any money either. Sometimes I'll find yarn kits like crocheting. As long as they're brand new in the package, I'll pick them up. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that I will get through here. I scanned that. It wasn't worth any money. I always look through those bins and stuff. I always try to look for Lisa Frank. There wasn't really much on that particular section there. And here I'll generally look for, sometimes they'll have vintage Rubbermaid coolers or igloo coolers. But this particular day they didn't really have anything like that. I'll look through the sunglasses. I'll either pick up any Ray-Ban cases, those sell okay, or sometimes I've actually found Ray-Ban eyeglasses as well. Blank VHS tape, as long as they're cheap. I particularly look for the cleaners. And if they're sealed, I won't buy any used cleaners. Sometimes those hard plastic Texas wear, melamine, I think it's melamine or melamine, those some of those can sell pretty good too. I didn't find anything like that day though. Then this is the toy section. Sorry, my camera. This is my actual phone that I'm filming with. It takes a minute for it to focus, and you always look at those dolls in case you see any American Girl dolls, but I've never run into any at a Goodwill. Only once at a yard sale, but never at any Goodwills. And I always look through here. You always try to look for any vintage, like Fisher Price or like dollhouse toys. Sheriff Callie is a cartoon. If you find any Sheriff Callie toys, those sell really well. I've sold those before. I've only ever found them 3 times, and they've sold right away all three times. The figurines, I think I had like 6 of them, and I sold them for $40 or something like that. They don't make them anymore. You can't go to Walmart and buy them. So I don't know if they just had a limited run of Sheriff Callie or not, but if you ever run into them, especially the plush sell really well too. I scanned that. It wasn't worth anything. I thought those were Pokemon cards, but they're not. I don't know what kind of cards they were, but they weren't worth anything either. If you ever find any Blaze, it's a cartoon as well. If you find any of the trucks, the Blaze, they almost look like Bigfoot trucks. Those sell okay too. I don't find many of those. Now that particular set, that bird, can sell as long as all the pieces. It was missing the one piece going across the front, the one bar. I purchased one of those over the summer, and it sold like the next day for $20. But the bird itself, Live Pets is what it's called. It wasn't all dirty like that one was. Now sometimes those Imitrex can sell pretty good. This section I usually, again, will look for sometimes the Starbucks travel mugs, as long as they're not like the Walmart ones or ones that you get at Christmas time in a gift set. I did look that strainer up thinking it might be worth something, but it wasn't worth me picking up. Because sometimes those vintage strainers or vintage kitchen stuff can be. I did find a Yeti coffee mug one time in this particular section, not at this store. It was at my store where I live. And I still look at Christmas stuff. I usually look for the plastic melted decorations because sometimes they'll put them out this time of year, and a lot of people don't shop the Christmas section. I did scan that Yankee Candle, and it wasn't worth anything. There really wasn't much more in this particular section. And then this is the pots and pans. I always look for, sometimes Club Aluminum will do well, but I didn't find anything there. And I'll just scan through the shoes real quick. I usually look for Dansko shoes, but I did not find any besides the ones that we seen earlier that the toe was peeling. Ugg boots, sometimes I'll see Ugg boots here. Or cowboy boots. But you really have to look at some of these shoes, and I usually bend them just so they don't crack. Make sure they don't crack, or make sure the sole's not detaching from the shoe itself, because I've had that happen before. And then the stuffed animals, I'll usually look for Build-A-Bear. Any Build-A-Bear that is not just a bear, it's actually like themed. Paw Patrol, My Little Pony, or anything besides the bear itself, unless it's like a Baskin Robbins bear. They have a Baskin Robbins bear that's like rainbow colored. Or if it's a particular animal, like a dinosaur or whatnot, I might pick one of those up. Or you could actually get the Build-A-Bear if it has clothes on it and then just sell the clothes separate. Most of the stuffed animals in this area are only 69 cents, so I don't mind spending 69 cents just to get the outfit and then redonating the bear or doing whatever with it. As you look through any of the games or puzzles, as long as they're brand new, I'll pick them up. I will pick up used ones, but without knowing if it's 100% complete. I've run into times where I would buy something and be missing something, so I would just piece out the game. You can piece some of the games out. I used to piece out Monopoly. I used to buy all the Monopoly games and then sell the tokens separate. I don't really do a whole lot of that anymore.